Today on Larry King Now, the very funny Michael Ian Black on the return of Wet Hot American Summer.
Over the years, it's developed a pretty rabid following, and so Netflix decided to pick it up as a TV series.
On fellow comedian Bill Cosby.
I feel like I've been pretty consistent about this over the years, which is try not to rape people. I feel like that's
really
fairly good advice.
Plus,
when the opportunity presented itself, yeah, I took MDMA. I've taken just about everything at this point.
All next on Larry King Now. Welcome to Larry King Now. My guest today is Michael Ian Black. This is a very important show. He's a retired CIA operative. He now serves as a terrorism analyst for Fox News. Or at least that's what his Twitter profile states. However, he's best known as an author, comedian, and actor who will reprise his role as McKinley Dozen from the cult classic movie Wet Hot American Summer in a new 8-part series for Netflix. Thank you for coming, Michael.
You're very welcome.
Why do you assume that role for the Twitter, for the
Fox News terrorism analyst and former CIA operative?
Guess why?
If one were a CIA or former CIA operative, one would never advertise it on Twitter.
Correct.
Therefore, if you put it on Twitter, everybody's going to think, oh, that can't possibly be true.
I see. You're doing a double switch.
I don't know. Am I?
So you could... So if...
Exactly.
I get it. We're getting at big news. Wet Hot American Summer is coming back.
Yes. I mean, obviously, I know you're a fan of the film. And
I never saw it.
I can't believe that for a second.
I never heard of it, but all these stars were in it, right? How long ago did it come out?
We made it in 2000. It came out in 2001. And
was it a cult hit?
Yeah, it took a little while to find its audience, but it's got a great cast. It's got Bradley Cooper and Paul Rudd and Amy Poehler and Janine Garofalo and David Hyde Pierce, and I'm in it, and a lot of other people are in it as well. And over the years, it's developed a pretty rabid following, and so Netflix decided to pick it up as a TV series.
Now that Bradley Cooper and all these people are major stars,
Sure.
Bradley Cooper might win an Academy Award. He's going to win a Tony on Broadway.
Yeah.
He's become one of the #1 stars in America.
I was his first. I was his first lover on screen.
Were you lovers on screen?
We were.
What was Wet Hot American Summer about?
It's a summer camp movie about a group of counselors. And part of the joke was that, I mean, a very small part of the joke, but part of the joke was that we were all in our late 20s, early 30s playing basically 16-year-olds, the way that those movies often have, much older people. So in this version of it, that movie took place on the last day of camp. This version takes place on the first day of camp. We're now 15 years older, playing the same age, or actually younger.
And who's in it now?
The same cast. Bradley Cooper.
They all did it again?
Everybody's coming back, yeah. So
when do you shoot?
We're shooting now.
But Bradley's in New York now.
Bradley's in New York. We're going to shoot his stuff in New York.
Wow.
In a couple weeks. Yeah.
Every star's coming back?
Plus a lot more, yeah.
And how did this get together? How did it come about? That's wild.
Well, David Wayne and Michael Showalter, who created it and co-wrote it, and David directs it, and Michael's in it. You know, they're just very funny guys, and we've all maintained friendships throughout the years. And so for us, or for them, I think it was easy to just call them and say, "Hey, do you want to do this?" It was.
Why
fun
do you think everybody signed on?
Because it's fun.
Some have become super famous.
I understand what you're saying, Larry. You're saying I'm not famous. I get it. I get it. You don't have to throw it in my face. I get it.
They're sending you out to promote it.
Exactly.
Because these other people are
too busy, too big.
Too
Everybody's getting Oscars, hosting the Golden Globes, all of that. I've got time, so I'm here. I get it. I get what you're saying.
Okay. I accept you as a front. You're a front man. But yeah. On the other hand, in your other role.
Yeah. Well, we don't talk about that.
Okay. Has the cast stayed in touch with each other?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's, the comedy community is fairly tight. It's not that big of a group, and so we all kind of know each other, I think. And when certain comedians work together, they have a good time, and I think they look for reasons to work together in the future.
I understand that the movie was critically and commercially panned.
That's right. That's right.
What were the critics saying about it?
Well, those that reviewed it, and I don't even think there were that many, just said it was a mess and not funny and a disaster and all the rest. And the truth is,
It was a mess. It wasn't funny.
no, I mean, I think it was doing a kind of meta comedy that hadn't really caught on yet. And the best example of that kind of comedy I can think of is something like Anchorman, which came a few years later, where it's purposefully dumb, it's purposefully silly and kind of gleefully stupid. And there's a kind of wink nod to the whole thing. And we were doing that kind of thing, and I think a lot of people just didn't understand it.
Do you like the new script?
I liked the new scripts better than I liked the movie script, yeah.
What do you make of this whole thing of Netflix and streaming and...
I love it. I mean, as somebody who creates content, as I do, I also write and produce, and the more avenues there are to get your stuff out there, and the fewer roadblocks, I mean, you're doing this, the better.
Yeah. Will Netflix release all 8 episodes at once?
I think so, I don't know.
I'm going to do a quick word association.
All right.
I'll give you the name. Just your thoughts. Paul Rudd.
Hack.
What?
Hack?
A hack?
Hack.
Elaborate.
Just minimally talented.
How did he make it?
You got those good looks, you know what I mean?
Christopher Maloney, one of my favorite people who made Law and Order Special Victims Unit what it is.
Hack.
Hack. He was also great in 42 as Leo DeRocha.
Yeah, I saw it.
You don't like him? Elizabeth.
You know he flies his own plane.
He does?
Yeah, he's a pilot. He got the pilot bug after meeting John Travolta, and John Travolta talked to him about his planes. Maloney got excited, took lessons, and Maloney bought his own plane and he flies around. He offered to fly me from L.A. to New York one time, and I couldn't do it because of schedule. But I was very excited for him.
Would you have gone with him?
Oh yeah.
But you don't call him a hack.
Hack.
Hack, and it's okay. Elizabeth Banks.
Gorgeous hack. Gorgeous hack.
Are you surprised that of all these people, you are the least famous?
Not at all. Not at all.
Why did they make it so big and you're yet?
Because they play the game, Larry. I'm not willing to play the game. You know what I mean? They're willing to kiss the asses and play, and do the whole thing. Not me.
And you've got this other job, which would hope. I understand. Bradley Cooper.
He was my first. He'll always be my best.
You love him.
I love him. Am I in love with him? I don't know, but I love him.
Do you keep in touch closely?
I haven't talked to him in years. He doesn't have time for me.
He isn't a hack.
No, he's up for an Academy Award.
Amy Poehler.
Amy Poehler, I honestly feel, I've known Amy for I don't know how many years, 20 years. And she's the only person that I've ever met who, when I met her, I just knew that she was going to be a star, and I think everybody knew that about her. She was with this comedy group called the Upright Citizens Brigade. They started a thing in New York. It went to L.A. And there was just always something about her that just...
you knew it.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't that many people. I mean, I certainly didn't think Bradley Cooper, for example, was going to be up for an Academy Award, I mean, nothing against him, but there was nothing about him that when I met him struck me as this guy's going to be a major motion picture star. But with Amy, I always knew it.
Up next, Michael and I will discuss his strong Twitter game, and we have some questions for him from one of his celebrity friends. Don't click away. We're with Michael Ian Black, who's bringing us the major announcement that Wet Hot American Summer will be a new 8-part series for Netflix, a follow-up on the old film of the year 2000, and all the major stars and him will be back, despite his other role as a retired CIA operative.
And current Fox News terrorism
and Fox
analyst.
News terrorism.
I should mention that we talked about Christopher Maloney and Elizabeth Banks, both of whom are also in the movie and will be in the television series. You weren't just throwing those names out at random.
I thought I said that.
And maybe you did, and I don't listen very well.
Despite being a CIA operative.
Well, because I'm thinking about how I'm going to get out of here in the event of an emergency.
I got it.
I got a million things going on.
You're popular on Twitter, not as popular as I am. But
How many Twitter followers do you have?
2.8 million, I think.
Oh.
But I do, it's my 2 cents every Sunday. I just send out thoughts into the night. Mm-hmm. What's the virtue of a good tweet? What makes a good tweet?
Well, I have different sort of, to me, there's different kinds of good tweets. There's good tweets that are going to get retweeted and be very popular, and those are the kinds of tweets that are sort of applicable to a wide variety of people. There's the kind of tweets that I think are good tweets that are very specific to you or to something that you're doing, that people can instantly identify as that's one of Larry's tweets or that's one of my tweets.
So it's something personal, but that can relate.
Yeah. And then there's just stupid tweets that I think can also be.
Can you recall some of your favorites?
I can't think of one.
No.
I've written like 40,000 of them.
Can you pull out a phone now and do a tweet?
No, I didn't bring my phone because I'm a professional and I didn't want it going off.
Well, let's say, okay, you make up a tweet.
Well, when the interview came out and the whole, can I curse on this?
Yeah.
The whole thing
Sony
exploded with that. When North Korea hacked Sony, my tweet about that was worried about the prospects for my new film, Abbott and Costello, North Korea's Mom. Got a lot of retweets.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Does Twitter have a shelf life?
Yeah, sure, everything has a shelf life, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, do you think it'll go the way of MySpace?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's become kind of pretty well integrated into the culture. I mean,
yeah, it is.
It's you know what's amazing about it? It is the first place I go to for news. You know, before I go to CNN or anything else, Twitter's going to have whatever's happening because there's eyes everywhere in the world looking at this stuff.
So, in other words, if something big happened,
you'll see it first on Twitter.
The world will know it in a minute.
Yeah. And sometimes it turns out to be bogus. There was a report of a hijacking on a flight from Vancouver to Puerto Vallarta that was people were writing about on Twitter. It turned out to be false.
Bad thing.
That's the bad thing. But if you know that going in and you wait for sort of confirmation.
But if you got someone on that flight, it's not funny.
No, it's not.
Meghan McCain, a friend of this show, is one of your good friends. You wrote a book together, America, You Sexy Bitch, A Love Letter to Freedom.
Uh-huh. I like hearing you say that.
Are you still friendly with Meghan?
Very, yeah.
Well, Meghan wanted us to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
These are her questions.
All right.
How did you get such a hot woman to marry you?
Uh-huh. When you have the level of fame that I do, Larry, it's, well, you know.
How hot
you've got the same thing.
Yeah, how hot is your woman?
Is that your wife?
Yeah.
Not as hot as your wife.
Okay.
I'm a guest in your home.
Number two, could you ever conceivably vote for a Republican?
Sure, of course. None that are currently alive, but sure.
What would you say to your son Elijah if he came to you at age 18 and said he wanted to become a comedian?
I'd wish him well. I mean, what can you do?
It's Meghan's question.
I know.
Number four, who do you prefer partnering to work with, Meghan McCain or Michael Showalter?
Oh, no, Michael Showalter is one of the guys who wrote Wet Hot American Summer, and we've worked together in many incarnations in the past. With Meghan, we just wrote the book together, but had a fantastic time. I'm going to say, best case scenario, a three-way with Michael Showalter and Meghan McCain and myself.
A three-way in what way?
Purely professional. Purely professional. And if it leads to something else, great.
Number five, do you ever think you might actually be addicted to Twitter?
I think I'm addicted to procrastination, and so Twitter provides an outlet for that.
And six, when are you going to write a sequel with Meghan?
She has my number. She can call me.
Now, since you have never voted for a living Republican,
yeah.
How do you feel about Meghan's father?
Politically, we're not on the same page. Personally, we get along great.
Coming up, we will talk stand-up, and I'll ask Michael about his take on the Bill Cosby situation. Stay with us. Wet Hot American Summer is coming to Netflix. Wet Hot American Summer coming to Netflix.
Yeah.
That's catchy. Wet Hot
American Summer coming to Netflix. Rolls right off the tongue.
Gonna be a year hit. Do you still enjoy doing stand-up?
I do. I do. It's something that I started as a sketch comedian. And so a lot of the people in Wet Hot American Summer were in my sketch comedy group. We had a show on MTV for a while. And so I got into comedy that way. I started doing stand-up much later in my life. When I was in my early 30s, I started doing it.
Is Christopher Maloney funny?
Christopher Maloney is surprisingly funny.
Because he doesn't look funny.
No, he's intimidating. and he's muscular but he's got a great sense of humor, and he's very adept at comedy, and I think that's why he enjoys doing things like this so much, because he doesn't get the opportunity very much, because people don't think of him as a funny guy.
Yeah. Now, what's your take? We have to talk about is the Bill Cosby thing.
I feel like I've been pretty consistent about this over the years, which is try not to rape people. I feel like that's
really
fairly good advice, no matter who you are.
Have you offered that to other comedians?
I have T-shirts, I have hats. Just try not to rape people. I don't know. It's crazy. It's a crazy, insane story. I think he's got to say something. I mean, the fact that he's just
Well, if he did it, I know Bill a long time, and you will admit, a great comedian.
Of course, one of the best.
One of the best stand-ups ever.
Yeah.
And I know him well, and I really like him. What could he say if he did what he's supposed to have done? I
don't know. I mean, unless he's totally innocent, I don't know what he possibly says. I mean, apology, there's no apology that's going to work.
Right.
He's not, I mean, he's maybe facing some criminal charges now with the latest.
On the 6-year thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, if he's guilty, I hope he suffers for it. I don't know if it means jail or what, but
they say that comics have a sad side, a tragic side to the sad clown theory.
Yeah, but they don't have like a sad rapist side to them.
No, I know. So again, you reiterate, try not to rape.
Try not to rape. It's my best advice.
We're going to play a little game of If You Only Knew. I'll just throw out some questions you ask them.
All right.
First girl you ever kissed?
I think Debbie Jameson. I think.
Where?
In the mouth.
What city? What city?
It was in my hometown of Hillsborough, New Jersey.
Hillsborough, New Jersey.
Yep.
How old were you, Michael?
I was probably about 10. Favorite
city to perform in?
Chicago.
Best Twitter account you follow?
Oh, wow. I'm going to go with the tried and true Rob Delaney. Do you follow Rob Delaney?
No.
He's hilarious
us, yeah.
and disgusting.
Favorite Wet Hot American Summer co-star?
Well, Bradley Cooper, of course.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Lava sneeze. If you sneeze lava.
That is the weirdest superpower I have ever heard.
Well, think about how helpful that would be.
Helpful.
You need something heated up. You take a little snuff, and then
How about being invisible?
Again, hack.
Okay. Pet peeve.
Well, Sir Patrick, when he was just on, his was quite good. I thought he was going to say something else about the magazine pages. In the magazine, the little inserts that they have that are constantly falling out all over the place when you open a magazine.
I hate
it. Drives me crazy, and I can't imagine it's good marketing. I can't imagine anybody has ever found one of those and said, oh yeah, I should really subscribe to Redbook. I just don't feel like that works. It's just litter.
There's one magazine that has a ton of them.
I think they all do.
Guilty pleasure.
I will read any book about an assassination, any kind of assassination novel. It doesn't matter how terrible it is.
Someone kills someone.
But some assassin has to go kill the president, or has to go kill the Shah, or has to go kill. It doesn't matter who. I'll read that and enjoy it. But that has to do with my background.
Yes. Celebrity crush.
Would it be weird if I said you?
Whatever. Your most embarrassing moment.
I had dreams, many dreams in my life, of pooping and having somebody walk in and feeling like that would just be the most mortifying thing that ever happened. Then one day I was shooting something, pooping, and a friend of mine walked in, and it was the most embarrassing thing that had ever happened. Horrible.
So your dream came true?
Yeah. It was like a premonition.
Your embarrassing wow. Secret talent.
I can crack my big toe just with a wiggle.
Did you discover this as a young man?
I became fully conscious of it maybe a few weeks ago.
Are you a good father?
Average at best.
Up next, Michael will answer some of your questions from social media. And I have to ask you about the rumor that he's recently experimented with a common party drug. This may shock his many fans. On the other hand, it may not surprise anybody. We'll be right back. McKinley Dozen is coming back. Wet Hot American Summer, a new 8-part series from Netflix. Okay, I hear you actually took ecstasy.
Sure. I mean,
why?
Well, I feel like I went into it with for the right reasons. I never drank, I never did drugs for years and years and years and years, when all my peers were doing them. But it started to become, I started to let that define me in a way that I wasn't comfortable with. Like, I'm the guy that doesn't drink and do drugs, and I had to sort of ask myself why, and I had no good explanation. So when the opportunity presented itself, yeah, I took MDMA. I've taken just about everything at this point.
Just to try it?
Yeah, just to experiment.
What was ecstasy like?
Well, you've obviously...
Never.
Oh, come on.
Never.
You're such a happy-go-lucky guy, I figured.
What does ecstasy do?
You know what it does, in my experience?
It's sexual, isn't it?
No, it can be, but it's not primarily. It's kind of an empathy drug. And so somebody like me who's basically dead inside, what it does is it kind of opens your heart a little bit. It's like your heart's on a hinge, and it opens, and it just sort of lets out.
So you like love hacks?
Yes, exactly. It's like a love hack.
Did you get you like you'd see a picture of Hitler and smile?
No, because what I found about it is that it doesn't provoke any feelings for you that aren't already there, aren't true. So, like, I did it with my wife before she was my wife.
And she took it too?
We took it together.
And what happened?
And it was a very, it allowed us to kind of express feelings for each other that maybe were harder to express under normal circumstances.
All good?
All good. Any sort of negative thoughts you could kind of push aside.
Any downside to it?
I mean, no, not really.
Should it be legal?
Yeah?
Okay, some questions from fans on Twitter. I'm not going to say the word. At Set Horses asks, who do you like more, Showalter, Wayne, or Moranis?
Right. That would be Michael Showalter, David Wayne, who's another frequent collaborator with me, and I guess Rick Moranis, the famous actor. I'll go with Moranis.
I haven't seen him in a while.
I think he sort of stopped acting. I don't know why.
What happened to Rick Moranis?
I don't know.
Little Shop on the Corner.
Little Shop of Horrors and Ghostbusters and a ton of great stuff. I think he just maybe stopped.
Jenny Johnson High Five, who is also a famous comedian and writer.
Yes.
On Twitter says, ask him to explain to you in detail why Des Bryant's catch was ruled incomplete.
Right. Now this is...
It beats the hell out of me, and I'm a lifetime sports fan.
In addition to being a Fox News terrorism analyst and former CIA operative, I also do a fair amount of NFL commentating for all the major networks. And the way I understand it is that he had to have control of the ball throughout the possession, meaning he had to maintain, and hold control throughout.
Only, I think, if you go out of bounds.
I don't know.
But
I don't know anything about football. I don't know anything about football, Larry. I don't know.
In the end zone, if a ball's thrown to you, and you're running, and you're in the end zone, and you tip it up, and tip it up, and tip it up, and tip it up, and then catch it, it's a catch.
Yeah, but I guess because it bounced out when he hit the ground, it wasn't considered a catch. I don't know. She knows I don't know anything about football.
Look, everyone thinks it was a catch. It was the worst decision.
Why are you yelling at me about it?
If it's a rule, it's a bad rule.
I feel like I'm getting beat up about this. Boomer Esiason, I heard on TV saying it was the right call. Boomer Esiason, I heard say it was the right call.
Why do you think he's called Boomer?
It's a nickname.
Okay. At Philly Fields on Twitter, ask him how us poors can reach first-class status.
Right. I often fly first class, and when I do, I tweet about it.
I only fly first.
Well, men like us, men of a certain stature in the world, we don't sit with the steerage. We don't sit with the
I don't call it steerage. I just can't be comfortable.
Right. And you can't. And also, you just can't be seen with them. I mean, you don't know what kind of diseases they have. So when I'm in first class, I have a first class attitude, and that's about making sure I order all the food, making sure, but I'm also gracious about it. You know, I don't make a big when the pores come through, back to steerage or whatever. I don't do this. I don't, anything.
Why don't they feed them?
The pores?
The pores.
A lot of them could stand to lose a few.
All right. The horse guy again says, are you guys going with Netflix, who releases all episodes at once, so the show can't be canceled prematurely?
It's a good question.
That's a good question.
and an excellent business strategy. Yeah, I mean, I've been involved in almost exclusively shows that have gone absolutely nowhere. So yeah, that's a pretty good business strategy.
At Not That Mandela, that's a cute, asks, I'm considering a new diet, and I'm curious to know, how does at Michael Alien Black,
like at Michael Ian Black, which is my
keep
name,
his eating grin so regular?
They're like Kegels, you just, it's like Kegels. You just got to exercise it.
How do you get a middle name like Ian?
I don't know. That was my mom and dad's doing.
Did you ever ask them?
No, I've never asked why they said why.
Wait a
Ian.
minute. You get a middle name like Ian.
Well, it never.
It's an Irish name. Are you Irish?
No.
So you never thought of asking your mother or father?
I mean, I know why I'm named Michael, but I don't know
why you're named Michael.
Because I had a great uncle who was in the mafia. He died shortly before I was born, and because his wife, my great aunt, was so kind to my mother, in honor.
Died or murdered?
Just died. No suspicious circumstances.
At Will Rogers 2000 on Twitter, how do you handle people expecting you to be funny when you're in a serious mood?
Right. Well, probably a lot of comedians have to deal with this, or feel like they have to deal with it, where you sort of feel obligated to be funny, and you don't necessarily feel funny. I try to let it go. I try not to put those kinds of expectations on myself. I think you have to. You're a great guest, Michael.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank my guest, Michael Ian Black. Look for the wet hot American summer coming to Netflix soon. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things, and I'll see you next time, maybe.